You scroll for a few seconds and realize something. There are people who see everything, but never post anything. No stories, no updates, nothing. And the strange part is, you're still watching everything. And if you're like that, you've probably noticed this. People don't understand it. They assume you're shy, or insecure, or that nothing interesting is happening in your life. But what if the reason is completely different? Because in many cases, not posting isn't about absence. It's a pattern. Imagine something simple. You're out with friends. Good conversation. Everyone's laughing. At some point, someone pulls out their phone, takes a picture, records a story, posts the moment, and almost automatically, everyone else follows. Except one person. They don't reach for their phone. Not because they forgot. Not because they don't care. They just stay. Talking. Listening. Fully inside the moment. And if you're that person, you know exactly how this feels. Because while everyone is trying to capture the moment, you're already living it. And by the time it's over, there's nothing left to post. Not because it didn't matter, but because it already did. Here's where it gets interesting. People who don't post much usually notice more. They scroll like everyone else. But after a while, something starts to feel different. They don't just see posts anymore. They start noticing patterns. How the same moment can look completely different, depending on the angle. How captions are rewritten until they sound just right. How normal days somehow always look perfect. And once you see that, you can't really unsee it. Because what once felt natural starts to feel constructed. And that's when something shifts. You don't feel the same urge to constantly share anymore. Not because you can't, but because you see it differently now. Most people don't think twice before posting. They just share it and move on. But some people pause. Not in an anxious way, in an aware way. Because they know that once something is posted, it doesn't fully belong to them anymore. It gets interpreted, reacted to, sometimes judged, quietly. And if you're someone who picks up on those things, you start noticing something subtle. The way a post can be misunderstood. The way people read between the lines, even when there's nothing there. And once you notice that, posting stops feeling neutral. It starts feeling like exposure. Not dramatic, just enough to make you hesitate. So instead of sharing everything, you start choosing what to show, what to keep, until eventually, you become selective. Very selective. There's another layer most people ignore. For some people, social media is tiring. Not just posting, even observing, scrolling, reading, processing everything. It already takes something. And at first, you don't really notice it. You just feel a little more drained than you expected. Then you add more. Replying, explaining, keeping up conversations, staying present. And slowly, it starts to feel like a responsibility. Something you have to manage. And that's when it shifts. You don't feel like posting. You feel like stepping back. Not completely leaving. Just reducing. A little less interaction. A little less presence. Until one day, you realize you've almost disappeared. Think about this. Why do people post? Sometimes it's to share. But a lot of the time, it's to be seen. To feel acknowledged. To feel like the moment mattered. You post something, and you wait to see who reacts, who notices, who cares. And without realizing it, that response starts to shape the feeling. But some people don't rely on that. Something good happens, and the feeling stays the same, whether anyone sees it or not. No need to capture it. No need to prove it. Because for them, the moment doesn't become real. When it's posted, it was already real. When it happened. This is the part people get wrong. Not posting doesn't mean not paying attention. In fact, it's often the opposite. They notice changes. They remember details. They read situations carefully, things most people overlook. And because they're not focused on being seen, their attention goes somewhere else. Into understanding, into observing, into what's really happening beneath the surface. So when someone doesn't post, it doesn't always mean they're absent. Sometimes, they're just not performing, not trying to show a version of their life, not trying to keep up, just choosing what stays private. And in a world where everything is shared, that kind of silence isn't empty. It's intentional. It's controlled. And in many cases, says more than posting ever could. Now I'm curious. Do you feel the need to share your life online? Or do you prefer to keep most of it to yourself? Or maybe you're somewhere in between.